Hello everyone, my name is Andy Barr and welcome to my brand new Authortube channel. If you follow me on any of my social media, you should already know a bit about me, but for anybody who has not seen any of my social media, all the links are down below in the video description, and I'll just let you know a little bit about me. I am a self-published romance and fantasy author, and I'm currently in the middle of a bit of a re-image with my entire brand and actually my books, because I've actually just unpublished my only book from Amazon in order to move it somewhere else, and that's something that I will keep everybody updated on as it progresses, because at the moment I'm still in the infant stages of that. But in regards to my rebrand, I'm not in the infant stages of it. There should be a brand new header above this YouTube channel. There should be brand new headers on all my social media, officially rebranding me from solely a romance author to a romance and a fantasy author. Now, the reason that I've done that is because Andy Barr is actually a pen name. It's a pen name. And I originally intended to keep my romance and my fantasy separate. That Andy Barr would be my romance author name, and then I would come up with some other name for my fantasy and keep them separate. But then I was putting in all this work building a website and a social media presence for Andy Barr, and I didn't want to start all over again once it came time to publish fantasy. And there was the fact that I came up with a fantasy romance series, and I was just like, who does that belong to? You know, which one would it belong to? And it just became so much easier to just keep everything in the one package. Plus, I'm really fond of Andy Barr as a pen name. I really like it. So, keeping everything under Andy Barr, and I am rebranding. This is no longer Romantic Ramblings. Andy Barr is no longer rambling romantically every time she writes a blog post. Instead, everything is swords and roses. I'm quite fond of that name, and I'm really fond of all my imaging. So I'm really proud of myself. And I'm starting this YouTube channel as a part of that forward movement for my online presence and my brand. So thank you for coming to watch that and joining me. I will be, from this month onward, attempting to keep to a steady schedule of blog posts, social media posts, and YouTube videos. So I'll be trying to post to my Twitter and my Instagram and my Facebook every day, if I can. I'll be posting to my blog twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and on Mondays I will be posting YouTube videos, as well as on the 13th of every month. The 13th of every month is going to be my work in progress update videos, whereas everything else will be tags and, you know, the usual Authortube content that I'm, you know, going to sort through and try to build up my own image of it. So, in that spirit, let's get to my first video, which, quite fittingly, is going to be the Authortube Newbie tag, and hopefully a little text box will have popped up here. So the Authortube Newbie tag, as I believe, was started by Jenna. I saw it on Bethany channel the other day, and I really enjoyed watching her do it. I thought it was really fun, and I figured that was a perfect first video for me. So let's get on to it. Question 1. How did you find out about Authortube? Well, I found out about Authortube through Instagram, because a lot of the writers that I follow on Instagram also have YouTube channels, and I really liked their videos. I really liked the way that they were engaging with their audiences and also engaging with other writers through writing advice and writing collab videos, and I don't know, it just seemed like a really great way to build up your personal brand and talk about your work and, you know, generate more of a readership and building up your personal brand, which of course is super important for anybody who is attempting to do anything in regards to career. So there's that. Question number 2. What genres do you write in? So I write in romance and fantasy. For most of my life, I was just a fantasy writer, or rather that was what I sort of considered myself, that I would be focusing on fantasy writing and only fantasy. But then through the development of my writing over the years, I've realized that I really do enjoy writing stories that are solely focused on the romantic journey of two characters. That love story can be the sole focus of something that I write and it still be enjoyable. So I started working on romance stories, and that's how I ended up publishing a romance book first, because I put so much effort into world building for fantasy that I don't have anything ready in the fantasy genre to go, whereas my romance stories, they come a lot quicker. So I write in both, and I write in a lot of subgenres for romance. So I have a fantasy romance series that I'm working on at the moment. I've got ideas for paranormal romance. I've got ideas for some sci-fi genre romance and some YA as well. So, you know, lots of different subgenres to work with in the romance spectrum of things. Okay, question number 3. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category? Okay, category is the easiest because a lot of my books have very adult content and very adult themes, so my preferred category of writing is adult. And that's not to say that I don't believe younger people could work with the ideas that I present, but it's just that a lot of the themes that I go through are they're more geared towards adult, and they're more the kind of things that adults go through, and adult relationships and adult situations and that kind of thing. So my category is more traditionally adult, but I do have ideas in the works for some YA stuff. My preferred point of view is third person. I can't write in first person. It always turns out terribly if I try, so I've given up attempting first person. I appreciate everybody who can write in it because I find it impossible. Third person, on the other hand, I love it. I don't care if it's third person limited. I don't care if it's third person omnipresent. I don't even care. I love third person. I like jumping between heads of my characters, and sometimes I like being an all-knowing narrator as well. That's fun. And my preferred writing tense actually depends on the story. So my fantasy epic series is in past tense, but my romance stories tend to be in present tense. My fantasy romance series, I have not decided yet whether it's going to be past or present tense. I guess that'll come when I actually start writing it. Question number 4. Are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? Now, I actually had to Google what a pantser was because I'd never actually heard that term before. And I always referred to that style of writing as gardening because I think it was George R. R. Martin that I heard refer to himself as a gardener once. So I tend to refer to that style of writing as gardening, and it did actually used to be the way that I wrote everything. I would just start and I would just write and write and write, and then by the time I got to the end and reread what I'd written, I would have gone off on so many tangents and had so many continuity errors and plot holes that it was not funny. So I decided that I needed to switch it up a bit. So I now do a lot of outlining before I start writing. But that being said, I don't consider myself a plotter either, simply because when I'm writing, if something is drawing me in a different direction, I'm happy to go down it. I will sit down and rework my outline to fit it, but I don't consider my outline the be-all and end-all. I'm happy to go off in a couple of different directions and see where the story takes me, as long as I have a basic idea of how I'm going along the way. So probably a plantser. I'm somewhere in the middle of the two. Question number 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am self-published, but as I mentioned earlier in this video, I have actually just unpublished my book from Amazon. The reasons for this are many and varied, but I am going to be talking about my new direction and what's coming in the future in 1 month's time. So I'm not going to get too much into that now, but I'm primarily self-published for now. Okay, question number 6 is about what publishing company or printing company that you use. And I'm actually going to skip this question because, like I said, I am going to be talking about where I'm going in the future on July 13th. So I'm just going to skip this question for now. Question number 7. What Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Well, I'm hoping to do monthly updates about my works in progress, and I'm also hoping to do book tags and writing tags because they're super fun videos. I love watching other people do them, so I would really like to do those. And you will also probably find little bits of writing advice that crop up for me as I'm working. So I like to talk about what I've learned from when I started writing up until now, because I have learnt a whole lot in the last 14 years since I first started working on a novel. I've learnt so much about writing and the writing process that I really want to share my personal experience in the hopes that it might help inspire somebody else who might be struggling with the same issues that I've struggled with as a writer. Question number 8. When did you start writing? Well, I started writing random little ditty short stories when I was about 7 or 8, but I started writing seriously when I and first started working on the series that I consider to be my book baby. And I don't like talking about it too much because I'm very protective of it. I've been working on it for 14 years now. That's a long time. So I tend to like to keep it under wraps, but I was 10 when I started working on it. So it's been a long time. Question number 9. What was the first story you ever wrote? I think it had something to do with one of my dogs. I grew up on a farm and we had like 10 dogs. And the dog that I was most attached to, his name was GB. We got him a little bit after I'd been born, so, you know, we shared the same lifespan for quite a while. And I'm pretty sure I wrote a story about me and him mustering sheep. I think that was the first story I ever wrote. It's the earliest one I can remember, at least. Pretty bad. Question number 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? Oh man, I'm like a symbiote. Every time I find a good writer, I just like pay super close attention to the way that they do things and see if anything that they do can be used in my own writing. I take great amounts of inspiration from J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin for their world building, because Middle-earth and Westeros are just so detailed in their history and their people. And you know, when I'm writing fantasy, I want that to be the kind of detail that I have in my world. I want to create a world that people are so fascinated by that they want all of these side stories and backstories and history stories and all of that. I want to create a world like that. And then in regards to my fantasy, I guess that I try and draw on any romance book that I've read that I really enjoyed, because you want to make the relationship relatable. You want to make it interesting. You want to write a relationship that people want to read. And so anytime I read a romance book where I absolutely love the couple and I'm just sitting there wanting their story to work out, I take a few notes. My favourites are C.S. Packet, J.L. Langley, Alessandra Hazard. You know, they're some of my favourites because the way that they write their relationships makes me just really, really want these relationships to work out. I just really need them to work out. And that's the reaction I want to draw from people when they read my romance stories. So there are a lot of writers who have influenced my writing. Question 11. Do you schedule your writing or simply get to writing when you have the time? A bit of both. Sometimes I put aside specific amounts of time where I'm going to focus on my writing, and other times if inspiration hits me, I just sit down and I work on it and I, you know, make a solid effort to churn something out. And so a bit of both. I just write whenever I can, but there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get through this outline, or I'm going to get through this section of world building, or I'm going to write this chapter or edit this chapter. Like, sometimes I have to be firm with myself and do this. Question number 12. What apparatus do you use for writing, and where do you usually write, I think? Yes, where do you usually write? Well, I write on a computer. I can't write by hand. I have terrible penmanship, and every time I try to write by hand, I can't read half of what I've written. So, computer only, so that I know exactly what I've written, and it's a lot easier to edit. And as for where I write, I try to change it up because new environments help me focus a bit. I write in bed, I write on the lounge, I write in the kitchen. I'm in the process of setting up a special workspace, and I'm hoping that that's going to be like my little writing sanctuary once it's done. And sometimes I like to write in coffee shops, libraries, parks, basically anywhere that's sort of going to keep my creative juices flowing is somewhere that I'm going to write. And the final question, question 13, what are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of Authortube? I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with my audience. I'm hoping that having this channel is gonna draw people to my books, make them interested in my work, you know, and I'd really like to be able to connect with those people, to talk to them about their thoughts on my work and what they'd like to see from me in the future. You know, I want to be really interactive with my audience when once I've republished Paper Flowers and once I'm heading down publishing again, I really want to be able to connect with my audience and be really interactive with them. So that's one of my biggest goals about having this Authortube, and it's the thing that I'm probably looking forward to the most. Also, meeting other writers, because I don't really have a lot of writerly friends, so if there's any writers watching this video, please send me messages because I really like writing friends. Okay, so that was the Author Newbie tag. And that also means this is the end of my first Authortube video. So that's terrifying. I can't believe that I actually managed to film all of that. Probably came across really awkward. I apologize for that immensely if it did come across as awkward, but I'm a little bit of an awkward person, so can't really help that. Anyway, videos will be being posted every Monday. If I'm ever not going to manage to get a video up on the Monday, it'll probably be up sometime later in the week, and I will let you know in advance. So please hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this and if you'd like to see more from me and follow along my writing journey with me. I'd really like to have some people along with me. It'll make it more fun. So I guess I'll see you on Monday. Bye!